Insensitivity. If I had known he was so insensitive and unfeeling, I would have never married him. I heard this complaint from unhappy wives more times than I care to count. I sympathize with the feelings that spark such harsh words. They often come from a frustrated wife who feels unappreciated, who believes that her husband doesn't care about her needs and or what she's thinking or feeling. Insensitivity kills a marriage and can destroy any kind of relationship. It's hard to live with, work with, or associate with an insensitive person. No one wants to spend time with someone who doesn't listen or give any consideration to feelings or thoughts of others. In Ephesians 5:17, Paul provides a model of what sensitivity looks like. Do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Two contrasting words take the spotlight in this verse: foolish and understand. This verse tells us that foolishness follows a lack of understanding. Understanding depends on sensitivity. We need it in our relationships with the Lord and with other people, especially with our spouse. Sensitivity means seeking to understand the other person's thoughts, feelings, and needs. Let's take a look at this kind of sensitivity in action. Mark and Lori have been married almost 10 years. Mark owns a small business selling sporting goods. The business provides him great personal fulfillment and a healthy family income. Long before she met Mark, Lori discovered her love for oil painting. Though through the years, she developed her passion into a profitable sideline business. But then their 3 kids came along in 4 years. As the diapers and high chairs multiplied, Lori's time for painting faded. The couple had always planned for Mark to be the breadwinner, allowing Lori her desire to be a homemaker. But this busy mom gradually discovered that her love for painting provided a welcome, creative outlet that helped to balance her day. Her overwhelming household duties, however, soon gave her fewer and fewer opportunities to paint. Mark sensed Lori's need to express her artistic gift, and after giving the situation much thought, he decided to cut back on his number of clients in order to help his wife pursue her artistic career. Lori now has access to a small gallery that provides her with the refreshing breaks from her routine. And Mark, he takes care of the children and household chores every Tuesday, Thursday morning, and Saturday afternoons. Though through his sensitivity to his wife's needs and his choice to act selflessly, Mark discovered a cherished part of his life. Had he decided to turn a blind eye to his wife's needs, he would have denied both his wife and himself an enormous amount of happiness. Ask yourself a couple questions. As a wife, are you sensitive to your husband when he's in the middle of a pressure-packed time at the office? As a husband, are you sensitive to your wife when she's struggling with her boss, a major deadline, or with the children? Are you sensitive to each other during those times when you just don't feel like yourself? Insensitivity is a classic symptom of selfishness. It causes us to live foolishly, and our marriages suffer. Stubbornness. It seems only fit that one symptom of selfishness is stubbornness, also known as pig-headedness. And nowhere do we see stubbornness in marriage more clearly than in the area of submission. Paul uncovers the problem in Ephesians 5:22 when he writes that wives are to submit to their husbands as they would to the Lord. Some husbands believe this verse puts them in charge, and no matter what conflict or disagreement arises, what they say goes. Only one problem: that's not what this verse means. Right before the apostle says that wives should submit to their husbands, he states that all Christians should submit to one another, motivated by reverence for Christ. We are all to lay aside the stubbornness and characterizes our fallen natures and consider the needs of others. Sometimes this includes husbands submitting to their wives. A few years ago, Clint and Elizabeth began a practice that revolutionized their marriage. They began to ask each other, what says, I love you to you? What says, I love you to you? They committed to act on the answer they heard and thus found the key to mutual submission. They stumbled onto the practice early in their marriage. Elizabeth had long assumed that more than anything else, Clint wanted to clean house when he came home from work. So every afternoon before he arrived home, she would rush through the house like a whirlwind, cleaning everything in sight. She would always greet Clint and follow him into the house, waiting for his praise for her immaculate housework. It never came. Understandably, she began to resent Clint's lack of appreciation and diagnosed him as suffering from an acute case of selfishness. One day, she'd had enough. With fire in her eyes, she confronted Clint. As they talked, Elizabeth discovered that Clint really didn't care if the house was cleaned when he got home. He just wanted to know that what was for dinner. The meal didn't even have to be ready. They could have ordered pizza for all he cared. What said, I love you to Clint was not a clean house, but a happy wife with dinner plans. What a revelation and relief to Elizabeth. From that day on, Clint and Elizabeth began asking the question, what says I love you to you? No better, more harmonious marriages exist than those in which both partners submit to each other as they would to the Lord. This doesn't mean disagreement and conflicts never erupt. It does mean, however, that ultimately peace reigns in the marriage, because both the husband and wife consciously choose to put the other first in all decision making. I'll be back.